recorded significant increases. Nigeria is worried that the housing deficit have grown approximately 28 million units, and the rising cost of building material is worsening access to affording housing. The House is disturbed that despite local sourcing of key raw material, Nigeria continues to face disproportionately high construction costs, suggesting inefficiency, market distortion, or possible exploitation within the value chain.
Lawmakers have now resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate possible anti-competitive practices, supply chain bottlenecks, and market distortions responsible for the rising costs. Meanwhile, political alignments also took center stage during plenary as Mohammed Bello El-Rufai, son of former Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai, defected from the All Progressives Congress to the African Development Congress alongside two lawmakers from Kaduna State. Also, a lawmaker from Kano moved from the ADC to the National Democratic Congress, while Joshua Chinedu, representing Amak Bari Federal Constituency, who earlier defected from the Labour Party to the ADC, has now joined the NDC. The lawmakers cited the internal crisis and uncertainty within their former political parties as reasons for their defections.
The House is further worried that these increases are leading to abandonment of construction projects, escalation of rent and property prices, increased cost of government infrastructure projects, loss of jobs across the construction value chain. Let us speak at the House resolve. Ask the federal government to investigate the factor responsible for the continuous rise in the building material price despite local raw material availability.
The developments highlight growing concerns over both economic pressures within the construction sector and shifting political alliances ahead of future electoral contests. Abuja, Linda Ike, Rapid TV.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says he is satisfied with the pace and quality of ongoing road infrastructure projects across Abuja. During an inspection tour of major construction sites within the capital, the minister reaffirmed the administration's commitment to delivering critical infrastructure that will improve transportation and ease traffic congestion. Our correspondent was there and he reports. The FCT Minister Nyesom Wike continued his inspection of ongoing infrastructural projects with a visit to the Jai-Gwaripa interchange being executed by CBC Global. Speaking after touring the site, the minister expressed confidence in the quality of work done so far, describing the project as meeting expected standard. Wike noted that the interchange, once completed, will significantly reduce traffic congestion and improve connectivity between key districts within the Federal Capital Territory.
So we're very hopeful and imagine that the next 2 weeks I believe that's said before. The quality of the job is very, very good. I believe that the airport should be and I have some and they will be able to visit it. Very good, beautiful work. And then in the next 12 months, everybody coming to Abuja will see.
The minister also inspected the ongoing Airport Road to Kuje Junction project being handled by Arab contractors, where he commended the company for the speed and quality of work. Wike expressed optimism that the project would be completed before the end of May, adding that the FCT administration remained committed to the timely delivery of projects that directly impact residents and improve daily commuting within the capital city. The inspection forms part of the ongoing effort by the FCT administration to monitor critical infrastructural projects aimed at improving transportation and urban development across Abuja. In Abuja, Godwin Sunday, reporting for Rapid TV News.
On the foreign scene, the federal government has expressed concern over renewed xenophobic tensions in South Africa, warning that Nigeria cannot remain silent while its citizens are allegedly harassed, humiliated and attacked. Minister of Foreign Affairs Bianca Odumego Ojukwu disclosed that she held discussion with South African counterpart Ronald Lamola following recent anti-foreigner protests and growing hostility towards migrants in parts of South Africa. According to the minister, the federal government's immediate priority is the protection and possible evacuation of Nigerians willing to return home due to fears triggered by the protests, especially after demonstrations in Durban. And now to regional security, where Nigeria has reaffirmed its commitment to stronger military cooperation and collective action against terrorism within the Lake Chad Basin region. The Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, retired, made this position known during a ministerial meeting of the multinational joint task force held in Chad under the framework of the Lake Chad Basin Commission. The high-level meeting brought together defense ministers, military chiefs and intelligence officials from Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon and Benin to review ongoing security operations and strengthen coordinated responses to cross-border threats. According to the Ministry of Defense, General Musa stressed that sustained regional collaboration remains essential to dismantling terrorist networks and restoring stability across affected communities in the region. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has convicted former Minister of Power, Sela Mahaman, over fraud and money laundering involving about 33.8 billion naira. Delivering judgments, Justice James Omotosho held that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC successfully proved the allegation against the former minister beyond reasonable doubt. Mahaman, who served under former President Muhammadu Buhari, was found guilty on a 12-count charge linked to the illegal diversion of funds meant for the Mambila and Zungeru hydroelectric power projects. The court also held that he made huge cash payments for properties without using financial institutions, contrary to financial regulations. In addition, the trial judge criticized the former minister for failing to improve Nigeria's electricity sector despite occupying a strategic office. Justice Omotosho stated that instead of leaving behind meaningful reforms, the defendant allegedly enriched himself while Nigerians continue to suffer from poor electricity supply. Interestingly, Mahaman was absent during the delivery of the judgment, prompting the court to issue a warrant for his arrest and adjourn sentencing until May 30th, 2026. The EFCC had earlier presented 17 witnesses and several exhibits during the trial, alleging that the diverted funds were used to acquire high-value assets both within and outside Nigeria. Security agencies have launched a major rescue operation after gunmen abducted 6 students of Nasarawa State University in Gudi, Akwanga local government area of the state. According to the Nasarawa State Police Command, the incident occurred on Wednesday night when armed men invaded an off-campus hostel located at Angua Ninzo on the outskirts of Gudi town. Police spokesperson SP Rahman Nansa confirmed that the victims are students of the Faculty of Engineering at the university's Gudi campus, while another individual present at the lodge was also kidnapped during the attack. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police in the state, CP Shatima Muhammad, visited the scene for an on-the-spot assessment and assured residents that every effort was being made to ensure the safe release of the victims. Security agencies including the police, DSS, military, NSCDC and local vigilante groups have since commenced coordinated operations to track down the abductors. Authorities also redeployed the area commander in Akwanga to strengthen field coordination during the rescue mission. Residents have been urged to remain calm, stay vigilant and provide useful information to security agencies as investigations and rescue operations continue. In Lagos, the cost of living is no longer just rising, it is reshaping everyday life. For many residents, the act of feeding, commuting, or running a small business has become a daily struggle as prices of essential goods continue to rise. As frustrations grow, many are now speaking out, calling attention to the steady strain on their livelihoods. Our correspondent Faith Oyewole reports.
The rising cost of living is tightening its grip on residents as many struggle to keep up with daily expenses. For traders and consumers alike, the reality is clear. Prices of basic commodities continue to change, with some items seeing slight reduction, while others, like pepper, have increased sharply. Many say the value of money has dropped, with 1,000 naira no longer able to cover basic transportation, especially for families managing school runs and daily needs. Even market and business owners say low patronage is affecting their sales as households stick to strict budgets and focus only on essential expenses.
Like before, we can use a 1,000 naira and manage some things, but now transport have increased, everything has been difficult, things are very hard for people to endure. In fact, Nigeria, we don't even know where we are going.
Like before, when we go to market, we can use 50,000 naira and bought banana, but now, even when you go with 200,000, you can't bought anything. Look at like avocado, we bought one bag, 15,000, 10,000, but now we are buying with 60,000, 70,000, so it's not been easy with us.
See, I wake up by 4:30 in the morning and I'll cook just 2 derica of rice, 2 jollof rice, 2 derica of jollof rice, 1 derica of white rice, and I will be here by 10 o'clock in the morning. I will still be here by 9:30 in the evening. I will be shouting, hot jollof rice, hot jollof rice, hot swallow. I will be shouting. People does not have money to buy food. They don't have money. This thing is crazy. The economy is not good at all. It's not helping any one of us. So it's not good at all. I have 4 children to take care of. I will say tomorrow I will not cook, but I will still have to stand up. I'll cook the remaining one that will remain. My children will eat it every night. We eat the remainder of my food because I can't bring what I cooked today to the market the next morning. So I have to give my children or give it out to people to eat.
So no sales. The little money people are managing it. Is what they have in mind, what they budget to buy. That's what they are buying. That's it. It's affecting sales a lot and a lot.
Transport operators are not left out as they link the rising cost of fuel to increased fares and reduced earnings. They also point to the high cost of acquiring tricycles, making it difficult for many to sustain the business and support their families.
Things are too hard. Things are too tough. After buying the fuel, there is no profit again. Passengers are complaining. There is no any turn up. Not only fuel itself. To maintain the bus is not easy. The whole pass are very cost. You pay your rentage, you pay your school fees. At the end of the day, there is no money. These government are not even trying at all. They are just after their own selfish interests.
We cannot even eat, feed our children. Like before, you cannot even eat 3 times a day. And the people that are selling keke now is that of angry. This keke now is 5 million naira. The gas on, when we want that gas, no, that's gas on. The gas on 6 million. Please, may they help us. Even all those people selling this thing, they say bringing it to Nigeria. It's not cost like that. Please, may they help us check. How much than they sell the keke? How much the thing was coming down to Nigeria? Keke is 5 million. Yeah, they are giving us 8 million. Before we pay it finish, the keke are already old. We cannot even make our own. And still fair matter again. Please, may they help us. I have 3 children. We cannot even smile. Not smile on our face.
As the pressure mounts, residents are calling on the government to intervene and ease the burden of rising living costs. Lagos, Faith Oyewole, Rapid TV News.
And you're still watching a live broadcast of Rapid News Hour. When news returns, oil price fall amid Middle East peace hopes. Rubio meets Pope Leo amid U.S. Vatican tensions. Well, details of these and more are on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Business leaders, policymakers, and industry experts from across Africa have gathered in Abuja for the African CEOs Conference, where discussions are centered on strengthening the continent's economic structure and improving long-term business sustainability. The forum is examining how African enterprises can adapt to global economic shift through governance, data management, and institutional resilience. Our correspondent was there and reports.
The conference held in Nigeria's capital brought together chief executives, investors, and professionals from sectors including finance, technology, real estate, fashion, and legal services. Discussion focused on how African businesses can transition from short-term profit models to more structured institutions capable of surviving leadership changes and global market volatility. Participants noted that while Africa's private sector continues to expand, many firms still face challenges related to succession planning, weak institutional frameworks, and limited data governance system.
But across Africa and emerging economies, something significant is happening. We are witnessing the rise of ambitious founders. We are seeing businesses grow faster than ever before. We are seeing innovation, visibility, and capital move at unprecedented speed. But beneath that growth lies a deeper question, one that cannot be ignored. Will what we're building outlive us? Because profitability is not permanence, growth is not sustainability, and attention is not absolute strength.
Speakers also highlighted the growing influence of digital transformation, warning that artificial intelligence, data protection, and consumer trust issues are becoming central risks for businesses across the continent. They stressed the need for stronger regulatory frameworks and improved corporate governance to support sustainable growth in an increasingly digital economy.
No matter what, you have to be ready. And then when we talk about Nigeria being ready, we were supposed to have been ready. So that's why conversations like this are very important, that prepares you to be ready. Sometimes you're not fully ready before you make a move. Because sometimes when you're fully ready, you don't make a move. And that's why we say sometimes that too much analysis may lead to paralysis. So you don't have to get everything before you move. So are we ready? I think we are. And then we'll start getting ready, more ready, as we move on the journey to transgenerational wealth.
The world is moving away from industry isolation. Now we're moving on to industry collaboration. So across the ecosystem, what we have now is integration. So you find technology collaborating with medicine to have telemedicine. You have law now collaborating with technology to have legal law, to have tech law, and so many. So for any business or enterprise to scale now, we need that critical collaboration.
The conference further examined regional cooperation and youth participation in business development, with stakeholders calling for policies that strengthen cross-border trade and improve economic reliance amid global uncertainties. Experts say outcomes from the discussions are expected to feed into broader recommendation on improving competitiveness and long-term value creation across African markets. Abuja, Godwin Sunday, Rapid TV News.
Now to the global economy, where international oil prices have continued to decline as investors monitor diplomatic efforts aimed at easing tensions in the Middle East. Brent crude dropped below $100 per barrel, while United States benchmark crude also recorded further losses following renewed optimism over possible peace talks involving Iran, the United States, and regional allies. Global stock markets traded mixed on Thursday, with Asian markets posting gains while European exchanges closed lower after earlier rallies. Analyst says investors are cautiously optimistic that progress in negotiation could eventually lead to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most strategic oil shipping routes. The conflict, which intensified earlier this year, has disrupted energy supply chains and created uncertainty across global financial markets. Meanwhile, investors are also reacting to broader economic signals, including movements in foreign exchange markets and developments within the global technology sector. The United States dollar weakened slightly as fears surrounding the conflict eased, while traders in Japan closely monitored the yen amid speculation of possible government intervention. Despite concerns over the Middle East crisis, major technology companies continue to attract strong investor confidence due to growing demand linked to artificial intelligence. Analysts, however, warn that market optimism could quickly reverse if peace effort fails or hostilities escalate further. They note that energy prices, inflation concern, and geopolitical uncertainty remain key risks shaping global economy performance in the months ahead. Let's now take you to our business desk, where our business correspondent is standing by to give us updates on business.
We begin in Nigeria, where the foreign exchange market is showing relative stability despite continued pressure from import demand and global uncertainties. The Naira recorded slight improvement across official and parallel markets as liquidity conditions improved. Market data indicates stronger turnover in the official window, supported by sustained interventions by the monetary authorities. Traders in Abuja and Lagos report a narrower gap between buying and selling rates compared to previous sessions. Analysts say the movement reflects short-term confidence, but caution that underlying demand pressures remain high. Overall, the foreign exchange market is still being shaped by policy actions and external inflows. Still in Nigeria, the equities market closed with mixed sentiment as investors engage in selective profit-taking across major stocks. The Nigerian exchange recorded mild pressure in some large cap counters, particularly in the financial and consumer segments. Market operators say the pullback follows recent gains that pushed valuations to new highs in earlier sessions. Despite the decline, trading activity remains strong, suggesting sustained investor participation. Analysts note that sentiment is now shifting toward caution as investors reassess earnings outlooks. The broader market trend still reflects resilience even amid short-term corrections. Still in Nigeria, energy and corporate disclosures continue to shape market expectations, especially around oil-linked revenues and listed company updates. Crude production and domestic supply discussions remain central to fiscal projections and industrial performance. Corporate filings from listed firms also highlight mixed financial results, with some companies reporting stronger dividend positions despite macroeconomic pressure. This reflects a wider split in performance across sectors, with banking and energy still dominating investor attention. Market watchers say Nigeria's business environment remains heavily tied to oil dynamics and regulatory decisions. We move to the international scene, where global markets are reacting to shifting investor sentiments across currencies, oil and equities. Asian and US markets have shown mixed movements, driven by geopolitical signals and expectations around monetary policy direction. Oil prices remain sensitive to supply risks and demand forecasts, keeping energy markets volatile. Currency markets are also adjusting as investors respond to changing risk appetite and central bank outlooks. Analysts say global uncertainty uncertainty continues to drive short-term volatility across asset classes. And that wraps up Business News Update. I am Josephine Bitrus. Have a very good evening.
Thank you, Josephine, for that business news. Well, in another development linked to the Middle East crisis, United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio has met with Pope Leo XIV at the Vatican amid growing diplomatic tensions between the White House and the Holy See. Rubio's visit comes after recent criticism exchanged between United States President Donald Trump and the Pope over the ongoing conflict involving Iran, Israel, and the United States. The Vatican confirmed that the meeting focused on global peace efforts, religious freedom, and broader international concerns. Pope Leo, the first American pope in history, has repeatedly called for restraint and dialogue while also criticizing threats of escalation in the Middle East. Observers say the meeting reflects attempts by both sides to introduce and reduce public tensions and maintain diplomatic engagement despite sharp differences in tone and policy. Meanwhile, Vatican officials say discussions also covered humanitarian concerns, migration issues, and instability across several regions, including Latin America and the Middle East. Pope Leo has continued to emphasize peace and diplomacy, insisting that the Catholic Church must remain vocal against war and nuclear threats. Analysts say the Pope's position carries significant political influence, especially within the United States, where debate over foreign policy and military involvement continue to divide opinion. The meeting between Rubio and the Pope is being closely watched internationally as governments seek a diplomatic solution to avoid a wider regional conflict that could further destabilize global markets and international relations. Still on the Middle East crisis, the United States Maritime Agency says more than 1,500 ships and about 20,000 crew members are currently stranded in the Gulf region following escalating hostilities across the Strait of Hormuz. The Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, Antonio Damegues, disclosed this during a maritime convention in Panama, warning that the situation is severely disrupting global shipping operations. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's busiest oil and gas trade routes, and its closure has raised fear of worsening global supply chains disruption and further increasing in energy prices. Maritime experts say the security risk in the region have made commercial navigation extremely difficult, leaving many vessels trapped as military tensions continue. And now to West Africa, where Mali's military authorities have appointed a new chief of the general staff of the armed forces following recent deadline attacks and reports of alleged coup plots within the country. Major General Elisi Jean Daho officially assumed office after a military reshuffle announced by the transitional government led by General Assani Goita. The changes come shortly after coordinated attacks targeted military installations across Mali, leaving several soldiers dead and heightening security concern in the country. Authorities say that investigations are ongoing after intelligence reports suggested that some military personnel may have been involved in the planning or supporting the attacks. The development has intensified political and security tensions in Mali, where the military government continues to battle insurgency and internal instability. 81 years after the Allied victories over Nazi Germany, the legacy of World War II continues to shape global politics and diplomacy. As Russia marks Victory Day, debate over historical interpretation and the war in Ukraine are fueling renewed international tensions. Speaking in Abuja, Russian Ambassador Andrei Podeslev stressed the importance of preserving what he described as the historical truths of World War II, during which more than 27 million Soviet citizens lost their lives. Our correspondent Linda Ike reports.
Historians say that while new archives and national perspectives continue to shape discussions around the Second World War, the global consensus on the horrors of Nazism and the significance of the defeat remains unchanged. Russia, however, continues to push for wider recognition of wartime crimes committed on Soviet territory as genocide, insisting that historical accountability is essential for justice. Speaking in Abuja, the Russian envoy described the May 9 Victory Day anniversary as both a solemn remembrance and a warning against attempts to revise the history of the war. He also criticized the removal of Soviet monuments across parts of Europe.
Russia's position here is absolutely clear. The crimes of Nazi Germany and its allies and collaborators on the territory of the USSR by their nature, scale and systematic character go beyond the traditional understanding of war crimes and must be qualified as an act of genocide against the Soviet people. This conclusion is based on the international law. Above all, the 1948 UN Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, as well as the legal assessments contained in the judgments of Nuremberg Tribunal.
Speaking in Abuja, the Russian envoy described the May 9 Victory Day anniversary as both a solemn remembrance and a warning against attempts to revise the history of the war. He also criticized the removal of Soviet monuments across parts of Europe, arguing that such actions undermine the sacrifice made during the fight against Nazism. Ambassador Andrei Podelishev stressed the importance of preserving what he described as the historical truth of World War II, during which more than 27 million Soviet citizens lost their lives.
According to the international legal definitions, genocide presupposes the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial or religious group as such. In the case of the population of the Soviet Union, we see all elements of this crime without exception. First, there was a deliberate political and ideological intent. Nazi plans for the colonization of the territories of the USSR openly spoke of the intention to clear the land of its population. This was not an ordinary occupation, but the systematic extermination of a huge part of the population and the transformation of the rest into people with no rights.
More than 8 decades after World War II ended, Victory Day remains more than a remembrance ceremony. It continues to influence national identity, international alliances, and global politics in an increasingly divided world. In Abuja, Linda Ike, Rapid TV.
Up next is entertainment news.
From global recognition to reality TV excitement and unforgettable nightlife experiences, this is your entertainment roundup, bringing you the biggest stories from music, television, and pop culture. Let's get straight into it. Nigerian Afrobeat star Davido has achieved another major international milestone. The award-winning singer has been named in the 2026 class of the Black Music and Entertainment Walk of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia, joining influential figures celebrated for shaping Black entertainment and culture globally. Davido joins a class that includes rapper Ludacris, gospel leader Paul S. Morton, and former Atlanta Mayor Maynard Jackson. The induction ceremony will take place on June 1st along Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Atlanta's historic West Side. Since launching in 2021, the Walk of Fame has honored global icons including Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Usher, Lauryn Hill, Snoop Dogg, and Tyler Perry. Now to reality television, Big Brother Naija is officially returning for season 11. The organizers confirmed the comeback in a teaser posted on the show's official X account, sparking excitement among fans online. The teaser carried the message, "Biggie is calling. Are you ready to answer?" While another post announced that auditions will begin soon. Although audition details are yet to be released, anticipation is already building for another dramatic season filled with entertainment, rivalry, romance, and viral moments. Over the years, the show has become one of Africa's biggest television franchises, producing stars, influencers, and entrepreneurs.
And finally, Lagos came alive with music, sports and luxury as the Heineken House Experience debuted with an event titled A Day with Thibaut. Held at Ilubirin, the event brought together celebrities, influencers and sports fans for an immersive experience centered around the UEFA Champions League and Formula One Miami Grand Prix. Hosted by Dari Art Alade, the event featured live music, comedy, orchestral performances and sports screenings. Guests enjoyed performances by comedian AY, the Loud Urban Choir and singer Johnny Joe, whose live sets became one of the highlights of the night. And that wraps up today's entertainment roundup. From Davido making history globally to Big Brother Naija preparing for another exciting season and Lagos hosting premium entertainment experiences. And that wraps up today's entertainment roundup. From Davido making history globally to Big Brother Naija preparing for another exciting season and Lagos hosting premium entertainment experiences. Stay with us as Rapid TV News continues. I am Peace Ezekiel.
Thank you, Peace Ezekiel, for that report. Now in sport, Iran's Football Federation has called on FIFA to provide formal guarantees for the safety and dignity of its national team delegation ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup to be hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico. Iranian football authorities says that the request follows growing political tensions between Tehran and Washington, as well as a recent incident in which members of Iranian delegations were reportedly denied entry into Canada for a FIFA event. Federation President Mahdi Taj said Iran expects FIFA to ensure that its players, officials and supporters are treated fairly during the tournament, especially during matches scheduled to take place on United States soil. And that's the size of our package for tonight. Now to end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. Tinubu submits APC presidential nomination forms. Senate passes bill on pre-election court jurisdiction. Oil prices fall amid Middle East peace hopes. Rubio meets Pope Leo amid U.S. Vatican tensions. Iran demands FIFA guarantees for 2026 World Cup. And that's the size of our package for tonight. Don't forget that you can follow us across all our social media handles currently showing on your screen, and you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Thank you for watching.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on StarTimes Channel 176, Nightcomsat. On Rapid FM, we speak your language from the soulful airwaves of Umuahia to the vibrant culture of Port Harcourt and beyond. More than broadcasters, we're creators, amplifying that voice within with powerful content across TV, radio, and digital. Join us at rbnradiotv.com and all our social media handles. One network, one voice. Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN, the sound of your city. Rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Greatness is not faceless. Greatness has a face.